somehow in the midst of all of this, you realize that you can feel a lot better. You can feel absolutely blissful. You can love absolutely. You can be absolutely free. But this stands in contrast to your common state. You are addicted to all kinds of reactive emotion, low levels of energy, fixations of attention, psychophysical obstruction, you see. You're addicted to all of this. You have a countless number of programs that are less than love, to which you are addicted, you see. The mind is fastened to programs of desire, attention. Each of those programs has its objects. And in every moment, the mind is tending toward one another kind of object. Your attention is moving toward one another kind of object. Your feeling in every moment is an expression of the program of mind in which you are locked in that moment. Now, what have you learned in your whole life? Have you learned to feel perfectly? To feel absolutely? Did you ever go through a period of study in which you learned to feel to infinity, to feel absolute divinity, you see? Now, you learned all the reaction patterns of life, all the desires of ordinary things, you see. And you knew them before you became familiarized with them again in this body. So you can't feel any better than you can feel. And you are addicted to feeling less than love, to be less than ecstasy. If you come and see me, you can't feel any better than you can feel. Sometimes, for no good reason, you may suddenly be given a moment in which you awaken a little bit, you see, and you feel much better. And then that goes away. What was the purpose of that? To help you begin to become aware of the fact that you can feel a lot better. That's the whole point, you see. And another time you come and you feel worse. You come full of yourself and feeling bad, and you want me to make you feel good. And all you do is notice the whole time how bad you feel. The more you notice it, the worse you feel. The more confirmed you become in the feeling that you were programmed to live when you arrived there, you see. Well, what was the purpose of that? Again, to help awaken in you this conviction that you can feel much better. You can be ecstatic, you see. To be ecstatic is different than all the things you're programmed to feel. To be blissful is different from all the things that you're desiring, you see. These are only states of energy. All of your desires are movements of attention towards states of energy, very low in the spectrum of possibility. If they were any lower, they'd be as solid as stone. So if you meditate on all of that level of energy with your mind, you see, your attention, your desiring, how good can you feel? That doesn't feel very good. Well, you've been feeling only in these ways, you see. Your whole life. How many lives? It's all the same moment, you see, of mediocrity. God is absolute feeling, unqualified feeling, which is not what you are practicing. You are meditating on feeling, but at a very low level. You see, it's reactive emotion. It's emotion in the form of skin and bone, you see. Bodily processes. That's the level of your feeling. It's depressed. It's less than light. It feels the cramp that light feels when it collapses on itself. So the teaching is there. I am here to awaken you to this realization that you can feel, absolutely, that you can be ecstatic, that that's a different way to be in this moment than you're tending to be. There's a different way to be than you're tending to be in every moment, you see. Sometimes you're feeling pretty good, and sometimes you're feeling pretty bad, you see. In neither case are you blissful. Are you ecstatic? Have you forgotten your body-mind? So you're tending to feel in the lower order of things, you see. And those energies in the lower order of things are not blissful, they're not ecstatic. They're not free, they're not absolute. They're just possibilities. And you've gotten the idea, through considering this teaching, that you can feel much better. And sometimes you have experiences here, and these are a kind of argument, you see, to the same point. But the only way you're going to consistently feel better, you see, is to feel better. Is to feel in the spectrum of energy, of light, of radiance that is absolute. You must begin to be ecstatic rather than tending only to the realm of money, food, and sex, you see. You're all involved with yourself, and you wonder why you don't feel better. Because you're not feeling better. If you come and sit with me and watch yourself the whole time to see how good you feel, instead of giving yourself up, you see. The practice doesn't necessarily bring a result in the moment that feels terrific, you see. The practice is to surrender, to enter into this communion in the midst of your mood at this moment, in the midst of your tendencies, your circumstances. That's the practice. The practice must be done in any case. Practice doesn't necessarily feel good. It's tapas, you see. It is purifying. It makes your tendencies obsolete. Eventually they are obsolete. Eventually you feel much better, you see. In the meantime, you must live this act of purification. People think if they practice, they're supposed to feel good because they're practicing, you see. If they enter into love communion with the spiritual master, with God, they're supposed to feel good because they do that, you see. But that's not true. You're not capable, by tendency in this moment, of feeling to the degree of infinity, of entering into the perfect ecstasy of God realization. But you are obliged to fulfill the law, to enter into this love communion presently. All of your tendencies in this moment may be working completely contrary to that. In any case, they are essentially working contrary to that. No matter how good you may tend to feel, it is still not God realization. It is not bliss. So in every moment in which you fulfill the law, it is tapas, it is the discipline, you see. Life in itself is suffering. The round to which you're addicted is just a wilderness of mechanics, you see. Stuff, bewildering, less than ecstatic. So you must fulfill the law in this moment, and in the next moment, in every moment, you must enter into this communion. If you'll do that, then all of these mechanics to which you are addicted, you see, become obsolete through non-use. But until they've not been used for a while, they constantly reappear in the form of feeling states that are mechanical, less than blissful, obsessive, ordinary, self-involved. Therefore, in most moments, you are less than blissful, you see. Even the devotee, as a matter of practice, in most moments, feels the edge, the heat of his own purification. Before you can enter into the regenerative enjoyment of bodily health, you must first of all enter into the period of purification. The dietary discipline, for instance, acts in a purifying way for a long time. You have all of these desires, you see, for all of the accessories, all the worldly self-indulgence relative to diet and the rest of it. And you have all these tastes that you like. You go through a long period of time adapting to that lawful diet that is ultimately regenerative. Well, you will be frustrated, you see, for a long time. And you'll observe a lot of signs of purification that are not comfortable. And you will be perhaps very bored with this vegetarian diet. Which, compared to the great cuisines of the Chinese and the French, is extremely boring. But after a while, you also begin to realize there's nothing written. No great revelation has ever been given that food has to be interesting. Well, that anything has to be interesting. Distracting to the point where you get the illusion of ecstasy, you see. Even a fine meal, with fine wine and all the rest of it, is not God realization. How good does it feel? You've all done it, you see. And it feels good only for a few minutes. The hours and days that follow are filled with physical discomfort and aberrated energy and inclination. So you persist in this discipline of the diet. Eventually, the natural pleasurableness of the diet appears, and the desires that motivated you in your eating and drinking previously weaken. They do not involve you mightily. And the body itself chemically changes, the blood chemistry changes, the cellular life is transformed, and the purifying phase begins to come to an end, or to even out. And that's when you begin to observe the regenerative capacity of this way of eating and drinking. Then you start to feel good, you see. And it's not a matter of the diet being interesting or uninteresting. That's no longer the point, you see. Well, it's the same with this practice altogether. There is simply a right way to live.